What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackmine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You could just do nothing but shake your head, question everything, hate everything at the same time. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-3. They fall to the Green Bay Packers 35-25 in a game that almost put Aaron Rodgers into a very rare history book in the NFL. Instead, opened the eyes to everybody that this team is crumbling fast and there are serious concerns. And what can change, what should change, what will change are the big three questions everybody has on this non-victory Monday. It's a good one here in the Berg. It was not a good one last night. I will detail, for those of you who were not there, what it was like as the game ended at Acrisure Stadium. And it goes very simply, go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. Filling the stadium as you look through a sea of green. There were no Steelers fans left. My brother was at the game. I texted him midway through the fourth quarter. I said, dude, it does not look like there are any Steelers fans out there anymore. And he said, the guys all around us left. Wild times, scary times. We'll dive into what can change, what should change, what to expect moving forward. And then some news and notes if we have time. Like I said, good one here in the Berg. How you feeling, my friend?
I have the song The Sound of Silence sort of stuck in my head. Hello darkness, my old friend. It feels like we're there,
Yes.
It's a tough Monday. It's a tough one. I'm doing fine personally, right? Like things are okay over in Jacob's world, but boy, oh boy, was last night just a miserable few hours to watch, to cover, to talk about, to write about afterwards, to write about even more today.
Yes.
I'm feeling a little drained from that part of it, if I'm being perfectly honest. But, besides from that, I think I'm just like so excited to talk about maybe potential solutions with you, or just like maybe some things that we see as a way out of here. So I don't know, man, trying to find a little bit of optimism as I get swallowed up by the darkness.
Look, it's tough to sit here and talk about potential solutions without talking about potential further downfall. And I think those things somewhat correlate. I will also point this out, and I said this on my to-go. I said it last night in the live stream. I'm going to say it again today. It's a 2-game losing streak, and NFL teams turn things around rather quickly in this league, and it happens constantly. And a 2-game losing streak could turn into a long winning streak very quickly. That is always a possibility. Now, that being said, you watched last night's game. You watched the Pittsburgh Steelers fall to the Green Bay Packers in awful fashion. You watched the side of the football that is worth more than any defensive side of the football in NFL history, and you say, they suck. There's no parts of them that are good. The parts that cost the most money seem to be the worst, because TJ Watt is nowhere to be found and has barely been found at all this season, has barely been found since week, 7, 8, 9 of last season. It's been a disastrous run, but you paid him a boatload of money. And what makes it look worse is Myles Garrett's putting on 5 sack performances for the same amount of money. And Micah Parsons is across from TJ, putting on great performances in front of TJ, and TJ is nowhere to be found. You look at the secondary and you say, Darius Slay sounded great, like a good answer. And now Darius Slay is on the bench, and maybe you should stay there. Joey Porter Jr. and Jalen Ramsay are not the star-studded QB1 and QB2 everybody hoped for. And somehow Deshaun Elliott gets hurt, and the best part of your entire defense is now gone. That is crazy to say, that a guy that a year ago was viewed as the second most important safety on your team is now the most important piece to your defense. Alex Highsmith is nowhere for the last 2 weeks. Nick Herbig is barely getting on the football field. Cam Hayward moaned for months, give me more money, give me more money, give me more money, only to well, get more money that he at this point is not going to receive because the Pittsburgh Steelers will be lucky to win another game this season. Derek Harmon, Nick Herbig, where you at? Patrick Queen forgot how to tackle in the last 2 weeks. And all eyes are on Mike Tomlin, who promised the world, thought that he had it, and it is now slipping for what will be the 8th consecutive season, the 9th consecutive year without what it looks like a playoff win. I mean, I'll ask the big question, and we'll start from the roster and go into it all, because you gotta at some point ask the big question, and I have an answer to it. I'm not sure what yours is going to be, but I have an answer to it. Can you rebuild? Is it time to rebuild? Is it time to give up on the experiment that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been trying to hold on to for years and start to acknowledge maybe you don't keep this thing together and fight as hard as possible for Cam and TJ, because Cam and TJ are no longer the building blocks of your team, and it's time to find new ones? Do you start?
Yeah, I think what yesterday just cemented for me more than anything else was that there is just no reason to feign hope about a long playoff run or anything close to that in 2025. And when you look at it beyond this year, you have a lot of pieces who are over 30. You have a lot of core players who are not in that prime championship window. You have a head coach who has been there for 2 decades and has not won a playoff game in 8 seasons, going on 9 years. I think this is really an ideal time. Like, the season's going to ride out. Like, let's be honest. Like, they're going to continue. Yeah. This is going to be a 9-8, 10-7 season. They're going to win a couple more games. They're going to give us a little bit of hope again in a month or two, and then it's going to end in the same fashion. Like, that's what's been cemented for me after that loss to the Green Bay Packers. You look at it and you just ask yourself, how many times can you go through that before you think we have to sort of tear it down and rebuild it from the studs? And I think they truly are getting to that place, and it seems like it's a very, it can be a very scary thing, and I think maybe the city of Pittsburgh is a little a little hurt by watching the Pirates try to rebuild for a millennia, watching the Penguins quickly descend from, a Stanley Cup team into a non-playoff team. Like, I understand and can certainly join in the fear of what if they start rebuilding and it just sort of never stops. And that is, I think, a very fair fear to have. But this feels like just beating your head against a wall, praying for another answer, and it's not going to come any other way. So I think they have to rebuild. They have to find new franchise anchors, and I think they have to really strongly consider, does that include the coaching staff, where, which players are a part of that and which aren't? Because you can, spin it any way you want. The Steelers team is the same in 2025 that they were last year and the year before, just with some different pieces. So what exactly are we working towards other than 10 wins? I don't know. So yes, it's time. I think it's time to rebuild, Noah. I really do. And I'm curious what you think.
No. You're spot on. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to, because just like you said, everybody may be scared in Pittsburgh. And by in Pittsburgh, I mean in the coaching staff, in the front office. They might sit there and say, well, what happens if we can't get out of it in 5 years? I don't know. What happens if you finish 9-8 and don't win a playoff game for the next 5 years? What's the difference? Because there is none. The difference is you get to ride a roller coaster, piss off your entire fan base, and have everybody chant from their highest of high, fire Mike Tomlin. That's what you get if you stick with the plan that you have right now. You lose a legacy for a head coach that at one point had a great legacy. You have guys like TJ and Cam get run out of town faster than they could imagine, because last night there were a lot of people who made it very known maybe TJ should have been traded, and I was all in on TJ. You signed TJ. I'll be the first one to admit, so far I'm wrong. So far I'm definitely wrong. A lot of people are wrong. That's the alternative, is to sit there and say, yeah, we could sit around and try for that run. That run doesn't happen. You don't get that run. Think of the teams that win Super Bowls. It's very rare that a team just pieces it together with a bunch of Jalen Ramsays and Darius Slays and DK Metcalfs and Aaron Rodgers and says, here it is, we're going to go win a Super Bowl. Very rare. Once in a while, you get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who built 90% of their team from scratch and then added Gronk and Tom Brady. You get the Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos, who just added Peyton Manning. Like, that's all they did. And Akil Talib or whatever his name is. That's what you get. The Steelers did not do this properly. They're just holding on, and it is time to let go. It is 100% time to let go and to say, hey, how many pieces of this can we move on from? So with that said, and I want to ask the Mike Tomlin question here in a minute, but I want to ask this first. Where do you move right now? Do you continue to truck through this season and say, we will try as hard as possible to do this? You're 4-3. That's going to be the game plan. I'm talking you, Jacob. Do you look at it and say, why is Nick Herbig not playing 85% of the snaps? And why is Derek Harmon not out there every single snap? And we no longer care if Jalen is the guy. And to be quite honest with you, trades for other key pieces to replace guys like Darius Slay and Juan Thornhill and Chuck Clark and maybe even linebackers all on the table because it's time to go. Spencer Anderson should be starting long-term over Isaac Seumalo, who has been the weak link to the offensive line this season. Like, is it time to just implement every piece you can to say, because that's the part of the Steelers right now. If they started to rebuild, this is not a ground zero. You are not the Tennessee Titans. You are not the Cleveland Browns. You have a Nick Herbig. You have a Peyton Wilson. You hopefully have a Joey Porter Jr. at bare minimum to be a corner two. At bare minimum, you have an entire offensive line. An entire offensive line. You have a running back. Like, you have pieces to start this thing off with. It's not complete by no means, but do you start to fill in where you could elsewhere if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers? Is that what they should be doing right now?
I think I'm doing a sort of like targeted retooling, right? Because you can't just blow it up right now. Or I mean, you could, but I just don't think they would ever do that. But what I would do is I would be dangling some pieces like an Alex Highsmith. I would be calling any sort of contending teams and just being like, you need a veteran corner in Darius Slay. Like, go ahead, have him for nothing. I'm trying to figure out if there's some of these players that I could maybe get a few draft picks for. And then yes. I am playing Derek Harmon. I am playing Y.A. Black. I am playing Nick Herbig. I am playing all of these young players. I am giving Spencer Anderson an expanded role on the offensive line. Yes, those jumbo heavy personnels have been, the lone bright spot at times for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. It's not enough to entice me to sort of keep him out of earning more reps. Isaac Seumalo, not sure what the injury update is from him, but I anticipate not coming back soon. Or even if it's not the case, I think Spencer Anderson has played well enough to have earned more snaps. And I think you have to just kind of see if any of this young talent is better. I don't think you can just sort of blow it up completely. You're not going to go, call up and see if anyone's willing to take on DK Metcalf or move Aaron Rodgers or TJ Watt or something like that. But I think there are a few pieces that you could conceivably move, and it wouldn't be crazy in terms of a return, but you could definitely, get some nice value moving forward, and then you're not losing out too much. I just think the Steelers they're on this collision course with the end result. We all know where it's going. Yeah. I don't think you have to sort of force the issue of like, well, maybe if we just get this trio of pass rushers right now and get the snap count exactly how we need to be, and we get the defensive tackle we need. Like, no, I think you just got to let Nick Herbig ride and just see what happens. And if you find a trade partner for Alex Highsmith, great. And then you just kind of go from there. Like, I just don't think it's going to make the season worse if you get rid of someone like that at this point. But no. I think you have to be doing a retooling, call it temporarily. But then, after this season, you're kind of going into the draft with that full on, like, we're starting this thing from scratch. We have our key pieces still. The contract situations, have to be worked out with some big players, but we're going to try to rebuild this team. That's what Jake's doing.
You have to. You look, you're not getting rid of TJ Watt, like you said. You're not going to try to. You shouldn't try to trade TJ Watt. You should. You should be the last guy that you try to trade. But there are guys on this team that can be replaced right now. And there are guys on this team that you can start over with. And there are guys on this team that you should be trying to start over with. And that's where the Steelers, to be honest with you can narrow it down to Roman Wilson and say, look, Roman's playing a ton of snaps moving forward. Roman is getting on the field to see if he can build off of what was a pretty sound performance against the Green Bay Packers. Like, that's where I'm going with this. How many guys can I get out? Corey Trice is coming back tomorrow. Tomorrow, Corey Trice is back on the field. That's where I'm at, because there are no answers here. You do not look as bad. It is not as if they lost 2 games. It is that they got smoked defensively in 2 games. That they gave up 450 yards in 2 games. Each of them. They gave up over 30 points 4 times this season. They've played 7 games. Their defense is worth $160 million. $160 million bucks. Their offense is worth like $11 and is playing better than their defense. That's where they're at. Let me ask the big one here. Do you include Tomlin in this rebuild?
I am truly torn about this question. You know, it feels kind of like an overreaction to say yes right off the bat, but I do think that in order for this team to truly rebuild, it has to happen without Mike Tomlin. I'm not sure if I'm fully ready to dismiss him, if I'm fully ready to fire him just yet, but I think I am, similarly to like the idea that this team, in order to move forward, has to do certain things, and in order to rebuild and truly open up that championship window again, it can't just be sort of patchwork. I think that includes the head coach. So I don't know if they need to move on right now, but I do think, again, 2027, like, when will this championship window reopen? And if you think it's going to in a couple of years, I do not see Mike Tomlin being a part of that. I see a new coach being the one to guide them there. But I don't want to fire Mike Tomlin right now. I don't want to fire him maybe even next offseason, to be perfectly honest. But I think the plan for his successor has to now be put into motion if the Steelers are not already, turning those wheels.
I think Mike Tomlin is a Hall of Fame coach. Let me start by saying that. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think
100% agree.
One of the best of his generation. I truly believe that. I think where the Steelers are today, they are holding on to every bit of hope because of Mike Tomlin, and I think it is time to let go of that hope. That's where I'm at. Do I think the Steelers are going to fire Mike Tomlin? No. Do I think that they should consider firing Mike Tomlin today? No. Do I think that if the Pittsburgh Steelers finish 9-8 at the end of this season and do not win a playoff game, that Art Rooney has to have a real conversation to sit down and say, maybe it's in everyone's best interest that we mutually part ways? Yes, because you know the outcome. It's 9 years. It is 9 consecutive seasons. You know the outcome. And sometimes it is stale. Sometimes it's Pete Carroll in Seattle where you go, it's just time to move on. Sometimes you need that change. And that's where the Steelers are with Mike Tomlin, is that they and him need a change. I would not be shocked if Mike Tomlin went to a different team next year, won the Super Bowl. Wouldn't stun me at all, because I think Mike Tomlin's a damn good coach. What I think is that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been trying so hard for so long to coast this thing out and hang on to every little sliver of hope that they could grab onto, that he has nothing. He doesn't have the pieces to do this with. And the Steelers don't have the pieces to do this with. And you have to restart. You just have to do a complete, this is not like the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it needs to be restart. That's what you do. And does it come with pain? Yeah, probably. Probably comes with a couple of really crappy seasons. It probably comes with a miss at head coach. That's probably what happens. But you need to start doing it, because Mike Tomlin has not shown that he's capable of a Super Bowl right now on top of not being able to show that he's capable of developing key players, on top of going after the wrong players and wanting those players, and just constantly having teams that all have the same question. Why are they not playing well? Because it is 90% of the time we come into this podcast and the questions are, what's wrong? And we both go, I don't know. It just doesn't look like they just want to play well. That's a Mike Tomlin thing. That's your head coach right there. I think that where we are today, yes, I think that at the end of the season, you do have to have a real conversation if you're Art Rooney about that quarterback or about that coaching change. But I do want to preference that with this. 9 years, if it doesn't go well, we're not talking today. I'm talking if this thing ends 9-8, miss the playoffs or first round exit, and you just again look miserable at the end of the season. Do you think in any world we're getting closer to that possibility or no?
Yeah, I do. And I don't say that just as an overreaction. I say that because there cannot be this level of complacency within the organization. I just don't believe that is something that they are willing to look past. Yes, they are a team that is just full of tradition, and it is what defines a lot of the way of their organization operating. I understand that and certainly, see it, but at some point you have to cut ties. You have to make the right choice. And, the Pittsburgh Penguins did the same thing with their head coach, Mike Sullivan, for a couple of years. Like, they should have fired him, not because he was a bad coach or is a bad coach. That's not the case at all. It's just sometimes things stop working and sometimes these things run their course. And Mike Tomlin, I agree with you, is a great NFL coach. And I think he will be again with the Pittsburgh Steelers or with another organization in the future. That's not really like my concern at all. But I think if you have another basically Groundhog Day like season in 2025, you move significantly closer to being like, we can't even get out of our own way here. We can't get out of this cycle of being a marginal playoff team. We have to make some sort of change. We've tried every other thing. We've turned over the personnel. We've hired a new general manager. We've done X, Y, and Z. We've casted spells and done rituals of Chud. And then all of a sudden there's nothing left to do, but you have to try to change your coach at some point. So yeah, I think we're moving closer to it for sure, especially if this season kind of ends up on the trajectory that you and I are sort of afraid of happening right now.
No, I feel the same way. Like, it's the first time I truly feel, I felt the momentum was shifting last year and Rooney made a statement by extending him. That's what I felt that was. I think that Rooney said, I want to make it known that Mike's got my back that I have Mike's back so that we don't have to go all year talking about, is Mike Tomlin on the hot seat? Is this his final season? If it happens again, I just don't know where you can't come up with any more excuses. You can't. If you're an organization, you can't come up with any more excuses. You can't come up with any more scapegoats. There's no more firing all the coordinators and changing the quarterbacks. You have Aaron Rodgers, who looks fan-freaking-tastic. You have a good offensive line. You have a good running back. And you have a defense that is worth $160 million that your head coach controls more than anybody else. What's going on here? And on top of that, all the promises. That's the craziest part to me, is all the promises. Think about the last 6 months. Roman Wilson's going to be that guy. That's why we don't need to go trade for a wide receiver. Roman Wilson's going to be that guy. TJ Watt's switching sides. TJ Watt's going to switch to all the sides. He's going to play everywhere on the defense, and we're going to make it happen. That's what's going to happen. Tight ends, we don't need a wide receiver 2. Jonnu Smith is our wide receiver 2. And all 4 of them, they're going to get involved. That's why we don't need anybody. It's almost as if, and I said this on my to-go earlier today, it's almost as if Mike Tomlin does not sit in actual offensive or defensive meetings, and he just walks to a podium and talks. And then you're going, those are all lies. Like, what are we doing here? Why did you say these things were going to happen and then none of them happened ever? That constantly happens. Like, are you trying to confuse the opposing team? Because it's not working, pal. It's not. I just...
Do you Yeah, it kind of just reminds, like this. It kind of sounds like he's like that guy in the office who no one's really sure what his job title is right now. Like he's got a title, but you're
Yeah.
like, man, I just cannot figure out what that man does 9 to 5, right? Like I come in here, I swear I never see him behind his desk. I swear I never see him actually turning stuff in. He's got this title. I just don't know what it is. I don't know
Yes.
what he does. But no, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if there was some sort of, if someone said, "Oh yeah, Coach T, no, he doesn't come to the meetings. He's, you know what I mean? Like, or like he doesn't come to these like this, that, or that meeting." I'd be like, "Yeah, that sounds about right." I don't think he I wouldn't be I don't think he does. I don't have any facts about that, but I don't think he does.
That's what it feels like. That's exactly what it feels like. And again, I feel at some point you have to have a real conversation if you're the Roonies to say, maybe it's better if we start. And it works. You know what I mean? Look at all the teams that it worked for. The Philadelphia Eagles lost Andy Reid. Andy Reid, best coach in the NFL right now, is Andy Reid. They lost him. And they have since won 2 Super Bowls. Not one. They didn't get lucky with the Nick Foles thing. They won 2 Super Bowls. The Steelers would have loved to win 2 Super Bowls in the last 10 years. Would have loved to. They would have loved to make one. 2 super, and that's the thing. They made 3. 1, 2, made 3. The New England Patriots look like they're going to be the next one. Like, yeah, you went through downtime, and now you're the best team in the NFL besides the Indianapolis Colts. Like, and Mike Vrabel and Drake May look like they're going to be the next Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Like, it works. It works. And I think the Steelers have to bring in that consideration. Will they? We'll see. We'll see. But I do think that it needs to be in that conversation. We'll finish our agenda off like this before we start answering everybody's questions. What's your confidence level in the season right now?
Oh, it's like a 1.3. I think we're barreling towards 9 and 8, and it's going to be miserable. And I am hoping that this is just me, just sort of in my feelings today and just overreacting. But I don't know, man. I got no confidence right now in this team. Got no confidence that they are going to do what is needed to address it or turn things around, and no confidence that results will change as a result. So I am not feeling confident. What about you? You got any optimism to save me from this one, partner?
No. Do I think that do I think that we needed that? Do I think that the Steelers are going to ride the roller coaster for the rest of the year? Do I think that they're going to come out and there's a potential that they beat Indianapolis? Yeah, I do. I do. But do I think that there's the same amount of potential that the Steelers somehow turn this into the worst season they've had under Mike Tomlin? Yeah, I do. Because this is the worst that defense has looked in the last 5 years, and they're the most expensive, and they have the best players. So it just doesn't make sense. So to me, it's you went out and you balled out and you did everything you can, and somehow it got worse. And, I grew up, my dad always used to tell me, it gets worse before it gets better. That's what he always used to say. And to me, it's like, oh, this is the breaking point. This is really it. This is where we're at. Mm-hmm. All right. With that, that's everything on our agenda. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all your questions. So toss them in the chat. We'll be right back.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold Apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
Alrighty. Shout out to our super chatters. Shout out to our members. Can't thank you guys enough. Before we get going, please hit that like and subscribe button. Means the world to us as we continue trucking. With that said, let's start with good old Marlon Lewis. Long time. Welcome back, my friend. Do you bring in a new head coach and also add Mike McCarthy for guidance if Arthur goes to Tennessee? look it. I don't like the Mike McCarthy thing. I think Mike McCarthy's a good quality head coach with a long tenure. I'm starting fresh. I'm going fresh. I want a brand new coaching staff with a brand new set of people in the NFL who are up and comers, because I think the culture in Pittsburgh is strong enough where you can give somebody a real chance to succeed. I do. And we've seen it happen, and I would like to see it happen again.
Yeah, I'm not in favor. I used to live in Greenfield, in the old stomping grounds of Mike McCarthy, the old Pittsburgh guy. So the McCarthys are big in the Greenfield neighborhood, as we all know.
I was going to say neighbors.
And great guy, great family, but I'm not really interested in sort of the recycled coach coming in here. I like the idea of having some sort of mentorship or guidance, or maybe some more experience in the case of a very fresh new staff that would come in this hypothetical we're discussing. But I don't necessarily want it to be Mike McCarthy, a guy who's had a lot of experience as a head coach, but also a lot of time since his biggest successes as an NFL head coach. And that's a little bit too similar to what this team is trying to get away from, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. And I think if you want guidance, if you want veteran leadership in your coaching staff, bring in veterans who have been coordinators. There are a lot of guys who've spent a long time in the NFL as coordinators who will retire as coordinators. Go get some, unless you want Arthur Smith. But I wouldn't be shocked if Arthur Smith leaves after this season for a place like Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, not here, try again. Arthur Smith for the head coach, and look for a good defensive coordinator. Would you consider giving the job to Arthur Smith if the Steelers were to move on from Mike Tomlin?
No. I don't want to sound too harsh, because this is not like anything. This is not like really about Arthur Smith, but I do not get the buzz around him being another major head coaching candidate. I don't find him super duper impressive. Don't know if you feel differently, but I do not want him to be the next head coach of the Steelers. I'm very okay with him taking a head coaching job with the Tennessee Titans, like I also anticipate him doing.
Yeah, I'm comfortable if they want to go in a different direction, bring in a new head coach, keep him as an offensive coordinator. Yeah, I think Arthur Smith has a lot to offer as an offensive coordinator. I think he's just getting started. I don't view him as a head coach. I don't want the Steelers to bring in a head coach that's already here. Don't promote from within, hire. There are so many up and coming guys in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Go find somebody, go find somebody that you're going, I'm feeling really good about what the Steelers can do with that side of the football and that player or that guy out there to bring on as a head coach. ND Joe, how Green Bay's defense was able to shut it down, moving Micah around. Aaron Rodgers was running for his life because of Micah's ability to get through and keep them guessing. Our offensive line didn't do that well either by allowing 3 sacks. No, the offensive line did not play great against the Green Bay Packers. That I'll be straightforward. But at the same time, I think the offensive line has looked good enough this season and has progressed enough this season that I have confidence in where they're headed. That's where I feel good about the offensive line. That right now I'm considering other positions before the offensive line. But I agree, Micah was exactly what the Steelers promised us and everybody else TJ was going to be, and TJ has not been that.
Yeah, I mean, the Green Bay defense is good. Like Micah Parsons gets all this attention. No one talks about Rashawn Gary, and then who's the first guy to make a big play? They have a sick defense, and I think they just gave the offensive line a ton of fits, and yeah, because they've been progressing in so many other ways, I'm kind of okay with, you're not going to be perfect every single game. There's way bigger fish to fry, in my opinion, than the offensive line's performance. They have held up relatively well compared to this sort of dog water of a team they got right now.
Yeah. No, I very much so agree. I think that it's a building block that you could build off of, which is good. But I think the other side of this question is very much so real, because TJ should be Micah and he's not. Dougie Fresh, Jacob mentioned championship window. Do you believe we had a championship team at the beginning of the season? I don't think many did. Mike Tomlin is the issue. I personally did. I did think the Pittsburgh Steelers had a championship team after week 4, after Minnesota. Coming into the season, no. We spent a whole summer going, this offense might look terrible. Like they might be really bad. And then the offense started to look good. And I said, oh no, this team's going to be good. This team's going to be real good. So I'd say right after the Minnesota game in Dublin is when I believed that the Steelers were a real championship team. And I think I said that publicly.
Yes, I'm it's a shame that I do not remember what I said in the past as well as I should for someone who talks so much about the Steelers. But I know that I talked about it being, another similar type of Steelers season in the summer, but the Aaron Rodgers factor like sort of opened up this window for me in a different way. But yeah, I think I rode a very similar path that Noah did, where the season opened and I was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is like still playing pretty darn well. I think he can really lead this team to, somewhere prominent. I've quickly learned in the last couple of weeks that a 41-year-old quarterback does not a championship team make. So I foolishly did have a championship window, or a belief that their championship window might have reopened in 2025. But boy, oh boy, it is shut and locked now.
It is gone. It disappeared somewhere around the time that the over hit, which felt good. I'm not gonna lie, I hit the over, but it did. It went away quick. Stephen Cornfield, where's my stapler? Has anyone seen my stapler? Am I missing something here?
You ever seen Office Space? Might be a movie reference that we
look at, dude. You know the answer to that question. You know the answer to that question. I've not seen it. I believe it is, dude. I'm not saying I only watch good movies. I don't watch any movies. Most of the good ones I don't watch. I don't know why. Well, what's the reference? Where does it refer to in this conversation?
I think he was a reference to how we just don't know what Tomlin does in a day. That would be my guess.
See, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
No, it's really a fitting reference. Shout out,
Steven, dude. Fantastic. And I won't watch that movie, but I trust you. Nate needs more salad. Defense is paid $180 million to give up 30 plus points a game. Yeah. Do you think that this is a one and done deal for Jalen Ramsay? There's an out after this season.
Oh yeah.
Do you think Cam Hayward's on his way out after this season?
No, I think he might come back and then sign another extension. I think he's going to just keep. No, I don't think. I'm not 100% on. Cam. I think Cam could come back next year, is what I'm trying to say. I would not be surprised at all. Jalen Ramsay, and this is again not a dig on Jalen Ramsay. He has come in here and, like Aaron Rodgers, I think has really been way better than advertises in terms of his locker room presence and leadership and things like that. So it's not a dig at Jalen Ramsay, but I just think he's very business savvy and aware that like he's been able to orchestrate wherever he wants to go. So like if he doesn't like what happens at the end of the season, you better believe he'll figure out another organization to go to, and he and his camp will find their way to it. So that's basically what I'm saying. Like, I don't think like Jalen Ramsay like throws a fit and he's like, Pittsburgh sucks, I'm out of here, I'm dying here. Like get rid of me. But I just think he probably will leave if they finish 9-8.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think Cam could also be on his way out, just like okay, dude, it's time. We gotta move on. I think there's a couple of them. I think Patrick Queen could be on that list. I think obviously I think the entire defense outside of Nick Herbig, TJ Watt, Deshaun Elliott, and Derek Harmon.
Peyton Wilson's on a rookie.
And Peyton Wilson. Anybody on a rookie contract or not named TJ Watt or Deshaun Elliott, I think could be gone after the season. Penturi's broken furnace still kicking, I hope. Hopefully it warmed up for you. I'm more reliable than the Steelers defense. Shout out, dude.
It's true. And I'm cold.
It's still broken, dude. Somebody, if anybody's an HVAC guy in the city of Pittsburgh, Jacob needs a furnace.
Go
needs
fix
it now.
me.
For free, preferably. We work off of free with good shout outs. We give good shout outs. Dougie Fresh. Noah, can you please explain Tomlin's control over the defense? Is he the play caller? What does TA do if Tomlin runs the defense? Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you. Tomlin's control of the defense is very scripted. Okay. So this is what we're going when the defensive staff has a meeting, they walk in, Mike Tomlin controls that meeting. He is the front of that meeting. In that meeting, he essentially decides how the team is going to approach the defense, what they're going to run. And then in game, if he says, which happens frequently, if he says, hey, we are doing this now, they're doing that. Does Tomlin sit there and call the plays? No, he doesn't. But what Tomlin does is decide what scheme they're in, what formations they're in, how they're going to go about things. That's what Tomlin does. It's much like 2 years ago when Matt Canada got fired and Sullivan and Eddie Faulkner were the interim offensive coordinators. Mike Tomlin would walk over and you'd see it constantly and say, this is what we're going to run. And then they'd run it. That is what he does to the defense on a very regular, consistent basis throughout a football game. That is how he approaches things.
Incredible.
Duffy Buckets.
Isn't it great?
It's great. It's great. Duffy Buckets, stop blaming Tomlin for guys not tackling. Blame him for making guys around the league all want to come play for him and say they would run through a wall for him, but then they only get here when they're 3 years past their prime. I don't blame Mike Tomlin for Patrick Queen forgetting how to tackle or Juan Thornhill and Darius Slay not being able to tackle. I don't blame Mike Tomlin for any of that. I blame Mike Tomlin for the fact that just everything is going wrong and that's your head coach's fault. Like, that's what I'm blaming. If any team, look across the league, okay? If a team stinks, nobody's sitting there going, I don't know, man. I think it's the players. You gotta ride it out with the head coach. There's no team in the league outside of the Pittsburgh Steelers where that is a conversation. There's not one. Pittsburgh seems to be the only one.
It's just, listen, what I do blame Tomlin for amongst all of this is sure, you can't blame him for people missing tackles, but whenever there is something that needs adjusted every week that is easy to point out and is brought up, and every single post-game press conference there's a question about how can you guys improve this, or is this meeting your expectation, and the answer is always no, or we're working towards it, or something like that I do blame the head coach for, because he is the one who is implementing these sort of goal schemes and methodology for achieving it. So I just don't really. Yes, you can blame the individual players whenever the games do not go well or the defense can't make a tackle, but I think you can blame the coach if they never figure out a way around those issues for an extended period of time. Like it's just in any other situation, if we weren't talking about football, if we were talking about just life, and you were like, you know what, this baker down the street, he just bakes like really average cakes, never better, for like 15 years. And they're like, are you going to like maybe get someone new? And they're like, no, I don't think we can find anyone better. And you're like, oh, all right, I guess I'll just eat bad cake, and it's not that bad. But like, I just think it's
bad enough, dude. Could you imagine? Could you imagine getting mediocre cake for your whole life? That frustrates you. Could you imagine being frustrated every time you ate mediocre cake for 9 years?
Spare me that hell.
That'd be awful. That'd be awful. ND Joe, none of this helped either. Missed calls of the refs, stupid personal fouls, the fighting, and listening to obnoxious Chris Collinsworth. That guy must go. Look, if we can all agree on one thing, it is that Chris Collinsworth is not fun to listen to. If we can all agree on it, is my biggest blessing on Sundays is that I have not listened to a broadcasted Steelers game in many moons. And it is, it feels good, my friends. It's very stressful. It's stress-free life. Let me tell you, you guys should try it out.
It's awful.
I will acknowledge the refs stunk last night. They were not good, but the refs did not lose the Steelers a game by 10 points when it should have been more than 10. No. And what did potentially add to this was the personal fouls because the Steelers were starting to break a little bit. You started to see DK Metcalf get a little bit overwhelmed and start to get a little angry. You started to see guys fighting with each other and arguing with each other. This is what was happening. You started to see the ball roll, the snowball tumble, avalanche start. That's what you're starting to see here. And I think that contributed a lot. The refs did not help. That's an acknowledgement, but I don't think they would have saved the game for the Steelers.
No. Chris Collinsworth, I do think, is the reason they lost, though. I think he should be barred from commentary for life.
I don't disagree. I saw him walking out, and he had like a smile on his face, and I just wanted to go up and be like, "Good night for you, huh?" Big win for Chris Collinsworth.
He's like,
Big win. He was, y'all know why he was smiling? He's like, "Oh, dude, tomorrow the PFF grades on Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, they're going to be ridiculous." Ridiculous. That's what it was. Captain Sparkle, it isn't a player issue. I think the Steelers are good, but the coaching, man, they are failing the players by not adjusting. It is time for changes. So here's my one coaching scheme, what is happening from last night. At some point, when you are getting smoked in man, time and time and time again by a tight end, maybe, just maybe, you start to consider, I know that we want to man everybody, and I know that's the goal, and I know zone didn't work against Cincinnati in their ridiculous wide receiver core, but maybe it works against Tucker Kraft and a tight end that is putting up ridiculous numbers against us. Maybe that should have been the case because I don't know what else to do. Or maybe, just maybe, put Jalen Ramsay on a tight end that has 150 yards in the first half. Maybe that works. I just feel that defensively, something should have changed at some point last night.
You would think that they would have changed anything. But I also think they were just, they were destined to it. This team's been getting torched by tight ends all season long. Why stop against the Green Bay Packers? Why stop next week against the Indianapolis Colts and continue on down the line? If you're a tight end going up against the Steelers defense, you're licking your chops right now because you're either going to get man-to-man coverage against Chuck Clark, which is a dream come true. That's how people get paid millions of dollars, or you're going to get the softest zone coverage you ever done seed. So I just think it's a great situation for opposing tight ends right now.
And there are a lot of great things for opposing teams about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wilson Simmons, we got rid of Pickens for being a wide receiver, DK wide receiver for a diva wide receiver, excuse me. DK puts his finger in a player's face mask, can't catch, and costs $30 million a year. You make a good argument, Wilson. You make a very good argument. It's hard to, and I think DK in the locker room talking to him, completely different human than what he is on the football field. It's like the nicest guy ever. Great team player, everything. It is nuts to me watching that last night. But again, that's what everybody expected. That's what we were told was going to happen. And last night it happened. And it was a bad example of what could happen with DK Metcalf.
Do you, what would your response be if someone poked you in the eye?
On a football field or in real life?
Either. Take your pick. Whatever feels more appropriate to answer.
It's so hard, dude, because my instant reaction as somebody who does not care about the team because I am not competing for a Super Bowl would be to smack you with my helmet. Okay. Mm-hmm. But in the moment, you got to obviously be like, can't do that. But if this was real life, you're getting smacked with a helmet. I'm going to find one and I'm going to smack you with it. That's what's going to happen. That just like, there is no, you poke somebody in the eye, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's a crazy move. It's a crazy move.
Crazy move. Crazy. Like, what are you doing?
It's awful.
Tara, what's the latest injury update on Deshaun Elliott? Significant knee injury. That is what we've been told. It did not look good. whatsoever. I don't think anything's come out during this podcast from what I've seen. But it did not. I would imagine Deshaun's season, if not over, is almost over, which is brutal. And then Daniel Iguodala suffered an ACL injury. He's out for the season, and Isaac Seumalo's got a pec that is also considered a strain that I would imagine he misses several weeks for because of.
Incredible
Pittsburgh
updates all around.
Pittsburgh Feelers, who we needed this. I'm still holding on to hope, and so said you guys. We could get hot late in the season and still win this, like the 2005 Steelers. Let's go, my dudes. Look at this is the positivity we need. Okay,
Yes, we did.
everybody needs this. Everybody needs this.
Do you hear us just struggling to join in on that optimism though? Because I could hear
somebody in the thing said Noah looks pissed. Somebody in the chat earlier said Noah looks pissed, and I had to like put on a smile. I'd be like, nah, I'm in a good mood. This is fun.
Yeah, this is a very unruly side of the all Steelers talk. I'm really struggling to find reasons for just optimism, not because like I'm like desperate to like be hopeful for this team, but just because I'm just like out of like a journalistic duty, I'm just trying to find like both sides of the story here, and there's just nothing positive right now. It's so miserable.
There is one side of the story. It's a tough time, but we'll figure it out. Poke through secondary mistake. Wow, dude. Shout out to Poke Salad. Put Broderick Jones on defense. We know he can tackle. Dude, Broderick Jones, did the broadcast show Broderick Jones trying to fight the Packers defense for like 5 consecutive minutes yesterday?
There were bits and pieces of it shown, yes.
Dude, he did not stop. And he did it in the strategic way. He didn't get flagged. He wasn't even close to getting flagged. He wasn't shoving, but he just kept talking. And I was like, wow, dude, you better win this next rep because you're yapping, brother. You are yapping. James, my last marriage is more stable than our defense. Let's go, guys. Way to get the energy up. Let's keep it trucking. See, I'm losing it right now.
Keep it churning.
Keep it churning.
Like some ice cream, baby.
Keep it churning, baby. Matthew Wolf. I'm a teacher and got chirped. This is why I said churning, because I was reading Matt's comment. Okay. I'm a teacher and got chirped by a bunch of 13-year-olds all day. Thanks for ruining my week, Mike. I'm going to pass this message along. I'm going to wait for the perfect moment. A couple of drinks in the next time me and Mike Tomlin are at an event. But I will make sure, Matthew, that your story is told. I will make sure that your story is told.
Story.
It's Juju. TJ not being dominant no more is a hard pill. Do you think TJ is like done, or do you think this is just like if you don't start to move him, it's over?
I can't say he's done. I would rather be late to the party in calling him done, than hold out hope that he can get back to elite form. Because it's not like he is just a terrible version of himself in every single play on the field. Like, he is still receiving a ton of attention. He is still the focal point of most opposing teams' offensive lines in the way that they block against the Steelers defense. So like he's doing things well, and he's still able to make some tackles. He just has no ability to get to the quarterback right now. And that I have less confident in him sort of returning or seeing a huge boost in numbers. But I don't think he's, a terrible version of himself all of a sudden. I think he's still pretty darn good. He's just not as dominant. And with that said, still, I think he could get back to that place of dominance. And I'm not willing to say he's, totally surpassed that. Maybe you feel differently, but no. I don't think I'm ready to say that.
Dude, I will be the last person calling TJ Watt bad. Will be the last person. Is he doing enough right now? Not even close. Not even close. He is playing not impactful, but I will not say that. I think TJ has more upside than anybody on the Pittsburgh Steelers entire roster when playing well. And
yeah,
you gotta hope that he could turn it around. You have to. You have to be able to hope that. Noah, how about a shout out for good old Joey Flacco and Justin Fields, baby? Let me tell you this, okay? we've all cried in a closet before. You know what I'm saying? We've all done it. Don't act like you haven't. Second, shout out to Justin Fields making Woody Johnson look like Woody Johnson. And shout out to Joey Flacco. The magic was fun. We had a good time, a lot of laughs, made good friends, great memories. The real shout out to Breece Hall and the New York Jets saying, you want to know what we're not going to do with the game on the line? Put the ball in Justin Fields' hands. That ain't going to happen. We're going to have our running back throw a pass from the 4-yard line, which is the wildest place to throw a pass from. Who are you trying to fool? Who are you trying? You pitched the football. There's any other defense outside of the Pittsburgh Steelers might have stopped that. Any other one. Shout out to Joey Flacco.
Shout out.
And Justin Fields. What a day. Duffy Buckets. Ramsay is being used as a glorified Mike Hilton. Keep Patrick Queen, let Ramsay and Cam go.
Wow.
I think the craziest part is Jalen Ramsey's playing his best football in the slot. And he is.
Yes.
Like, that's where you want to keep him. Cam's not doing anything right now. And like literally nothing. And Patrick Queen's trying, but honestly, if you watched the game yesterday, you want to know what Patrick Queen's problem is? Is that somebody tied his hands behind his back and said, you can't use these to tackle anymore. You're not allowed to. This is all shoulders and head. This is all you're allowed to do. He didn't wrap one time, not one time yesterday.
Do you feel like I have a statement about what you just said too, but I want to ask you this first before I forget. Do you think that Ramsay is being used as a glorified Mike Hilton? Like, he is doing his best work in the slot. I agree with you. Are we looking at a $25 million more expensive version of Mike Hilton, or is it just is it more than that?
He's a $25 million Cam Sutton. That's what he is.
Yeah, that don't make me feel better.
No, he's a guy that you're dropping back into a safety, 10 times a game, maybe, you're almost never putting on the outside. He's just playing in the slot. You only put him on the outside when Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr. are not playing well on the outside. It just doesn't yes, he's getting paid to be an outside corner safety X factor, and he's playing slot, which makes $6 million a year if you are good.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's not enough, as are so many things right now. But I think the only other thing I wanted to mention about Patrick Queen is it feels like, and maybe I'm just, these are the only plays I'm like catching and latching onto, but it seems like there are so many times pre-snap where Patrick Queen has his head turned telling someone,
yes,
either go, or like you have to pick up this guy, or he's telling like he's passing along some sort of communication. And I just like, one, it freaks me out because I'm like, why does no one know like what to do here, what adjustments to make? If they come out and get a different look than they planned for, it seems like, Patrick Queen and Deshaun Elliott before his injury had to like tap everyone on the helmet and let them know what their assignment was. So it's like,
yes.
What? I think there is some part of this like pre-snap craziness that is impacting, just the defense in general, but specifically Patrick Queen. And they have to find a way to sort of take that communication burden off of him, or just get everyone else a little bit more involved so that they understand what's going on. Because you can just tell how frantic they look whenever you have PQ like just like waving his hand and like throwing someone like over, to pick up the running back coming in motion. So they got to figure out something better with that too. But I've been a fan of Queen's play for most of the season, but the last 2 weeks have certainly been an exception.
Where do you put the communication issues on? Where does that come from?
That is a great question. Where does it come from? I have no idea. I would imagine it has to start with, the coaching and the defensive scheming and how they are using their language and verbiage in their meetings. But the only other explanation that I can give off of the dome is like, maybe when they're in the huddle or they're getting the play call, like someone's not passing it along right, or someone is not the best communicator. Like, you have to have some sort of command when you're in a huddle, whether it's on the offensive or defensive side. So maybe there's just some sort of disconnect happening whenever they are like throwing in the play call, and everyone is just then not getting their right assignments because they're not really understanding the communications. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it's clear that there is a very big disconnect between what the coaching staff wants the defense to do and what the defensive players on the field think they need to do to achieve it. So it's it's a chicken or the egg thing too, to be quite honest. You can probably pinpoint a bunch of different answers that are causal or that cause this or the other. So it's a mess, Noah. It's a darn mess.
I agree. Peanut salad. I like Dexter Lawrence or Jeffrey Simmons. It would let others get to the quarterback. That would also help the secondary. Also, a wide receiver. Let's just keep trying. I'm not ruling out defensive trades after yesterday. I'm not. Have you changed your attitude towards it?
Yeah. I mean, if they actually want to try to win, I guess, then yes, their defense is awful, so that it needs to be better. I think you need some secondary help like yesterday.
Yeah.
And you need wide receiver help still. But yeah, it's not just the offensive side of the ball. And that is a stark contrast from what I was saying on the show a couple of days ago. But yeah, they need defensive help immediately.
I would not be surprised whatsoever. A wide receiver is going to happen. Artisanal Bully Kennel, no flowers for Roman. 4 receptions, 74 yards, and a good old TD, brother.
Shout
out to Roman Wilson
on the team.
Best receiver on the team. Don't think the touchdown was a real touchdown, but best receiver on the team. Stephen Cornfield added that. Jacob, is Roman Wilson your new favorite wide receiver group yet? He has less drops than DK, who only seems to catch half his passes. Look at an argument of good old DK Metcalf. Roman Wilson only gets the football like 4 times. So less opportunities to drop it. Shout out to Roman, dude. Did have a day yesterday. A small positive. Duffy Buckets. TJ Watt is a figment of our imagination. Sometimes it does feel like that. I will say, I think talking to TJ after the game is the reason that I have no energy, is because when TJ talks, when he's pissed off, it's yeah, man, we just gotta get better. Yeah, man, we just gotta get better. And you're just like, I don't know if I'm scared or why I'm so exhausted right now after this one, but like, it kind of feel like you were a demon sucker and you just sucked my soul from my body. So shout out to TJ.
Yeah, he's an energy vampire, and he feeds off your energy, and that's what he was doing.
And he kills you. He just kills you.
He takes your soul.
Takes your soul. Ryan, what do we even do in practice? That's the craziest thing, dude. Is I think the Steelers practice more physically than almost any team in the NFL, which makes literally no sense whatsoever. But I don't think it's practice. As crazy as that sounds, I do not think it's practice. No, it is.
I don't think so at all.
No, it is game adjustment execution. David, let's lighten the mood and celebrate Spencer Anderson may be tight end 1 next year. Shout out. Who would have thought that in Aaron Rodgers' first game ever against the Green Bay Packers, who would have caught his first pass? An extra offensive lineman, Spencer Anderson. Shout out, my guy. We'll keep it trucking here. Today, this is a tough one, dude. This is a tough one. Today's my birthday. Sucks to be 41 right now. Oh my gosh. It's tough to be anybody today. Let me tell you. Happy birthday, my brother. Hope it's a good one.
In your Aaron Rodgers year.
Today's that one hurt my soul a little bit. You know what I mean? Wish that tomorrow was your birthday or something, so that it was a tough one. That was a tough one. Andy Joe, did you guys hear Debo's rant about the defense on his podcast today? Nothing was held back. Yeah, you wrote that story, didn't you? Or no, Jack did.
No, I think Jack did.
Jack did. Yeah, Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Debo was there. He got a firsthand experience on what was happening. If you're going to listen to anybody after that game, Debo's the one, brother. Debo is the one. Will the Steelers listen? Who knows? But Debo said it straight out there. Everybody's got to go. Everyone's got to go.
People got to go.
People got to go.
Got to listen to him.
Got to listen to him. It's time. David, how much of an impact would it make to get a good defensive court? Do you think a defensive coordinator? No. Do you think if Mike Tomlin removed himself from the equation and you got a good defensive coordinator, it would change things, or do you simply say,
yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
of course. That like Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator in a perfect hypothetical world, and Mike Tomlin just lets him run the defense.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot different. I don't think it matters. You can bring in anyone. It doesn't really matter because Mike Tomlin's hand remains so firmly at the wheel here. So I just don't think there is any impact to be gained by bringing in a different defensive coordinator. Like Terrell Austin, I think, does everything within his power and within his role and capacity as defensive coordinator to do his best. But when your hands are tied, your hands are tied.
I agree. Rasta pasta salad almost crashed out like George Pickens when my daughter ran up to me to poke me in the eye like DK did yesterday. That's what I'm saying, dude. Helmet right to the face. Right there. Would have been awful. Will Jabril Peppers get more snaps now? If Jabril Peppers does not start against the Indianapolis Colts, I mean, nobody should have a job leaving the field. You know what I mean? Like, that's what is the excuse there? Oh, Juan Thornhill and Chuck Clark just played so well last week. They played great. Mm-hmm. What? Yeah. What? No.
This could be one of those times where Jabril Peppers isn't familiar enough with the schematics.
Dude, it's been 8 weeks. He's schematically sound.
Chuck Clark, he got on the moving train earlier, though. That 2 weeks made a difference, especially whenever one is way worse than the other at football.
There it is. There it is. That's the real answer here. It's just like, what one's worse? Yeah, put him out there, dude. I kind of like that guy. I kind of like that
stick.
That guy's a good guy. Didn't make
Great
the team.
player.
Was so bad that he didn't make the initial 53-man roster, but put him on the team. Make sure he's out there. Sounds good to me. All right. We'll end it with peanut salad here. Bring in a real defensive coordinator and make Tomlin just a head coach. I think this is the perfect solution to the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, is to say you have no more power outside of just being a Nick Sirianni prototype. Would it solve everything? No. Would it help? Yeah. I really, truly think so. Would it ever happen? No.
He could. I think Mike Tomlin could realistically, lengthen his tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers if he would sort of let go of the defensive control and just be the head coach. But
yes,
that'll never happen.
No, never. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Hit that like button before you head out of here. Find all our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers and find us anywhere you get your podcasts. By the time we talk tomorrow, everybody will be a little bit more cheered up. We'll have a little bit more energy. I'll have a little bit more coffee in me. TJ's soul-sucking powers will be gone, and we'll be good to go and ready to rock for a good old Tomlin Tuesday. With that said, it's a tough one, but enjoy it. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.